drop your IQ by 30 points. Be brain dead. Be dumb. You don't need a brain. So, yeah, I almost put this comment at the end of the last video, but I thought it would be too much. And then lo and behold, Pull University made a great comment in the entourage about one of his experiences. And he said in his experience and his date, he was being his, I think it was something like his usual dumb self, right? And because the girl was, or she was into politics and all this type of thing, he just didn't care at all. Right? And he still, you know, he still sealed the deal with this woman. So, yeah, be dumb with women. Being intelligent is actually a disadvantage with women. It's actually a disadvantage. You don't really want to use any intelligence on them. Or if you do, just like quite sparingly, you know. Spare them your brilliance. Yeah, drop your IQ by 30 points in general when it comes to socializing and with women. Just be dumb. Just be dumb. This is a problem because people have pride over how much they've developed their intelligence and they've developed their minds, because it takes a lot of work to develop your mind. So you have pride over it, and then like you want to show it off, you know, use a clever long word or something. Pointless, absolutely pointless. Just drop your brain, yeah. Drop your brain. Just say dumb stuff, you know. This is something I do. I'm realizing, and more actually, something I used to do in clubs. I'm realizing more and more that daytime is not so different once you start to really get going with it. It is different, but it's not so different. But just, you know, you can't think of anything to say. Just say something like, "Man, your tits are incredible," or just you just say something blunt, physical compliment again. So you're re-complimenting the girl, or yeah, if you're on a date or something, or just say nothing, you know. So being dumb, very important. A lot of wanting to appear intelligent and stuff like that is just kind of one-upping, and it's just a silly game people play, you know. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid. A friend of mine he's actually one of my go-tos. For a while he was my main go-to. I think I actually lost touch with him because annoying actually. I've lost touch with him because of phone situations, but he was my main go-to anyway. A guy I met on a plane on the way to Portugal about 5 years ago. And he was a roofer. He worked in the UK. He was from Angola, and he lived in Portugal. So he had family there and stuff, but he was a roofer in the UK. And so like, this guy, he spoke like 5 languages, yeah? He basically, he just had a high school education, but he spoke all these languages because he lived all over the world, working, first of all as a bouncer and then as a roofer. Right. So, the guy speaks he's got no university education, he speaks like 5 languages. And when I went out with him around Lisbon, he just has no hesitation to talk to absolutely anyone. And he doesn't try and ever say anything intelligent, but he always says something great. He just has full confidence in himself all the time, and he talks to everyone. And this guy is like, he's like almost an encyclopedia when it comes to what to do with women. If I ever had more of a relationship thing, if I had a situation, he'd laugh at me and then he'd just tell me what to do. Because the guy was so experienced. It's like the most jacked fucking 50-year-old I've ever seen in my life. He was fucking huge. But yeah. And I know he gets girls in England, and his English is not even perfect, you know. Like, you don't need to be some hyper intellectual. This guy got tons of chicks, man. Absolutely tons. The main thing was, he just talked to everyone, and he just had no hesitation at all. None at all. Talk to absolutely everyone. Yeah, that's what you need to be doing. I remember, like, back in the club days, there were some girls were like almost surprised I was intelligent. It was almost like a confusion, you know, like at a later date when they realized. So I don't know. I think yeah, there's maybe a balance to be had. But I think in general, drop your IQ, drop your brain. You don't need it. With approach and with women in general, they're not things to be taken seriously. I know that's sexist, but they're not to be taken seriously. That's actually the problem. Is actually we take them too seriously. They don't want to be taken seriously. They're not serious. Anyway, especially not in relationships. Anyway, maybe professionally, but outside of that, no, they definitely don't want to be taken seriously. What was the other thing as well? Oh yeah, the other thing, narcissism. The importance of narcissism, healthy narcissism. Narcissism is not even really the right word. It's more like a healthy dose of self-aggrandizement and just self-amusement, basically. Self-aggrandizement as well. That's very important. Being narcissistic. That was actually when a switch in my nighttime massively happened. Massively. Two biggest switches in my nighttime experience was I started speaking way louder, and I started speaking with narcissism. And it was more just like, it wasn't that I would always say things to quote unquote, was it demonstration about it? It wasn't that. It was just, I was just content with my own self. Dude, that shift was massive. I started to notice it, even with girls I'd reopen on the scene, a couple months later, and I'd started to go in this direction. I was like, okay. Rather than just having a boring conversation, normal conversation, that's the level of the conversation. Yeah, I remember one girl, she really turned, and she was so distant, this girl. Catholic girl from Seville. Academic, but fucking gorgeous. She really turned. I was like, that's interesting, because I've been trying to, every time I see this girl, I'm trying to make it with her. That was about 27 at the time. But yeah, then she completely turned when I started to speak narcissistically. And this girl was a PhD in microscopic biological robots that go into your fucking veins and stuff. That was her PhD, okay? And she wrote it in English, and she was from Spain, so she was fucking smart. Yeah, and yeah, I became a dumb narcissist. And that's why she liked me. It's a joke, isn't it? It's a joke. Yeah, I think a lot of these girls, especially the ones who are in those types of environments, they want a rest from it, yeah? They want a rest from it. They don't actually want to be talking about all that bullshit when it's their personal life. They want to have fun, they need a break, yeah? And you should do it as well. So being narcissistic, being self-aggrandizing, or just self-content, self-amusement, The last thing I'll say on this is, people throw the word narcissism around way too much. Narcissism as a true, as a condition. Narcissism is a condition. Sociopathy is a condition. And the difference between someone who is self-aggrandizing, self-content and all this type of thing, and someone who is an actual pathological narcissist, it's a different species. It's completely different. It's like all these kids who think they've got ADHD, and then you actually meet a child who actually has ADHD. It's a different species, dude. It's completely different. So yeah, just that's one to bear in mind as well. You're not actually, because this is something that went through my heart. Am I going to develop a personality disorder through this? And it's like, no, you're not. Your personality structure is pretty much set. You're not going to suddenly become like a psychopath or a narcissist just because you develop a few of these traits that are a bit more edgy and a bit more self-amused. That's not going to happen. Or even a lot more edgy and a lot more self-amused. You're not actually going to become like a psychopath, yeah? And it's just what works at the end of the day. If it didn't work, if being Mr. gentle and kind, if that worked all the time, I mean, sometimes it does, but you're the quote-unquote nice guy. If that actually worked, that's what guys would do. We've got a place to market in a sense. So I would recommend incorporating a lower IQ and a higher sense of narcissism. Be a dumb narcissist. Yeah, get the girls. Right, I'm gonna hit the gym. Peace, love.